once again, I have a project with a deadline and I have started it far too late. Good day! My friend and I are going to see The Gunpowder Plot next Wednesday. It's this immersive thing set in the 1600s, I think. I should know about this because this was an actual historical event and I don't actually know much about it, so it's gonna be a fun experience. The point is that, of course, we're going dressed up. I'm not gonna like make a Tudor thing. You know this, you clicked on this video, you saw the thumbnail. It's not a Tudor thing. This is not gonna be historically accurate at all. But I've seen a lot of people on YouTube using this pattern. I think it's a butterick pattern. Specifically the like Hobbit vest kind of one, like the more simple one. And I would really love to do that. And I saw that and I was like, I want that pattern, it looks so pretty. And it's out of stock almost everywhere. Like I could not find it for less than like, I don't know, 15 pounds. And I was like, I am not spending that much money. But then I saw this pattern and this one is free, which is amazing. I love free patterns. And it's not exactly the same. It is a longer vest, it doesn't stop at the waist. It's a longer vest and it buttons, I think. But I did think that I could alter it somewhat to kind of make it more like the butterick pattern and cheat a little bit because it's a free pattern, so might as well mess with it a little bit. So that's the plan. I have got this green fabric, which I cannot show it to you, and I know I always do this. I sit down to record the video and I don't have the fabric, but I actually cannot show it to you right now because I forgot to pre-wash it, so it's currently drying, which is also my fault. I'm saying this as if I didn't do this and it's not my fault, but it is. So it's this like green cotton canvas kind of fabric. So I found it at a dead stock shop that I talk about a lot because I really love this place. If you're in London, there's a place in the Kilburn Market that is dead stock fabric and they sell things for like really, really cheap. And so I found this green canvas and they told me that it was just a sample. I could buy it by the meter or they'd give me the sample for £1. So I took the sample for £1. So it's not a lot of fabric, but I have seen the pattern pieces and I've seen the fabric and I think I have just enough to make this work. So obviously I'm gonna be doing a mock-up for this because if I cut into the fabric and it's wrong, then I'm kind of screwed. Also, it's Friday. We're going on Wednesday. So I only have a few days for this because I am such a procrastinator. We have had this booked for literally a year. I have zero excuse this time. It's not like we booked this last minute. No, we've had this booked since last July. I have no excuse. So the plan, I think it's gonna be very similar to what the butterick one looks like on the cover of that pattern. I'm gonna do lacing down the front instead of the buttons, so I'll get into that when we get into the pattern and I'll show you kind of how I'm gonna alter the pattern for that. And I think I'm probably gonna do like a contrast bias binding around the whole thing and the arm size. I'm thinking like a cream color. Obviously I can't show you the fabric right now, but when I do, it's kind of like a tealy green. Like it's not quite emerald. I would have preferred something like really emerald colored, but this is nice. I still really like it. So I think a cream will go well with that. And I'm planning on wearing kind of a champagne colored blouse and a black skirt with this. So we'll see if the whole ensemble works together, but that's kind of the plan for now. I've stuck together the whole pattern and I cut it out. So the plan for today is I'm gonna alter the pattern as much as I can. I'm gonna do the mock-up, and then I think I can start on the actual vest on another day. I've been talking for 5 minutes, oh my god! Why am I so bad at intros? Okay, let's just get into the thing. Let's get to sewing. Okay, welcome to my desk. So I have got all the pattern pieces cut. Wow, this is really bad framing. Hold on. So this is the pattern. I just wanted to show it to you before I start messing with it because it's nice. It's a really well laid out pattern for a free one. Obviously, I'll link all this below. If you do decide to use this pattern, just be aware that it is kind of confusing to print. They do have really good instructions on their website for how to print it, so if you follow those, you'll probably do okay. It just was a bit confusing for me to print out and stick together, but I figured it out, and I'm bad at sewing, so if I can figure it out, you can figure it out. So it's really simple. It's only 4 pieces. I think I actually somehow managed to lay these out in order. Amazing. So it's 4 pieces plus a back facing for the neckline. I don't think I'm gonna do that because I don't want to line this vest. I'm planning on wearing things under it anyway, so I don't think I'm gonna have a lining for this. Obviously, it's a bit longer, so the first thing I'm gonna do is cut it at the waist. I also really love that they've marked out the seam allowance. I mean, this is just super useful because most patterns that I've worked with, I haven't worked with a whole lot, but most of them, they just tell you, like, assume that there's 5/8 of an inch seam allowance around all pieces unless marked otherwise. And I'm like, okay, yeah, that makes sense, but also it's really annoying. So it's really nice that they've given you the option here of, like, I might actually just cut this out without the seam allowance because that's just how I prefer to work, and I like that we have the option to kind of decide what we want. They've also marked the waistline on all of these pieces, which again is just super, super useful. I love when they do that, so that'll make my life really easy. Now, this front piece is the bit that I'm probably going to change the most, and even then I'm not going to change it all that much. It's supposed to button, which means that this bit I think will be overlapped. So what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to cut off all the seam allowance on all these pieces except this part. So I'm going to leave that on to just give myself a little bit more room. I will cut this out kind of as it is, and then I will, instead of doing a facing, I'll fold that under and tuck it and sew that bit, and then I'll have an extra layer for when I do the eyelets, which I'll do by hand because I'm not going to use grommets, I don't think. That's the plan. I think that should leave enough room because even if I fold this now, like just on the paper, I'm pretty sure it goes here, like that. And then that looks like it would be enough room if I fold this under and then I do eyelets right there. That would be perfectly acceptable, I think. Just because you always want something to kind of reinforce the eyelets. You don't generally want to do it through one layer because it just won't be very sturdy and you might rip through the fabric. I'm saying this very confidently as if I know what I'm doing. I have seen other people do eyelets with the facing or with, you know, extra fabric behind there, and I know that there's a good reason for it, so just do it. It kind of looks a lot like the Butterick one already. Like, it has that square neckline, it has the princess seam, and so I don't think I'm going to alter it too much in that way. I think the Butterick one has kind of more of a curve here, but I kind of like the square one, especially because I'm trying to go a little bit, I mean, it's history bounding, it's not going to be historically accurate, but the Tudor style, is this Tudor? I think it's Tudor. Well, whatever. In the 1600s, I'm pretty sure the square neckline was a thing. I will try and fact check that one. Editing Rashali, please fact check this. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to cut off all the seam allowance because I don't like seam allowance. And I'm going to cut these at the waist, and then I think we shall do a mock-up. So let's get to it. Okay, so here we go, first mock-up. I have literally threaded yarn through this just so I can kind of get an idea of what the lacing is gonna look like, and not gonna lie, it's giving Shrek. I've marked the lacing, the eyelets on the pattern now. I might do more just because I'm not super loving how this looks right now. The whole thing is a little big. So the thing about this pattern that I didn't mention is it only comes in 4 sizes, and they're small, medium, large, extra large. So this is the small. And it's a little big on me, which I was expecting because I tend to be, you know, very small. I am just a small person. So just keep that in mind. If you also don't fit into standardized sizing, you might have to tailor this a little bit. I can't really lace this up tighter because first of all, I do kind of want a little bit of a lacing gap. Another thing that I realized is that I said I wasn't going to cut off the seam allowance on the front, but then I added extra seam allowance anyway as I was cutting out the mock-up pieces, so that's on me. I don't understand seam allowance. I'm just going to cut it off and I'll figure it out. I also have seam allowance kind of added to everything at the moment, which would make sense if I was doing a facing and a lining and everything, but I'm not. I'm going to make some marks on the pattern, and when I actually cut out the pieces, I will forgo any seam allowance at all on the top and the arm's eye. Anything that's going to be bound, basically, just needs to be cut net. No seam allowance needed there. The only things that need seam allowance are, funnily enough, the seams, which should be common sense and should be obvious, but I'm still kind of new at this, so I'm figuring it all out. The back is also a bit tall. I don't know if that's again, because of seam allowance and whatever, but it feels a bit tall, and it's, I don't know. I'm a little bit out of my depth here. Okay, first thing I'm gonna do, I'm gonna cut off all the seam allowances that I added by mistake, just so I can get a better idea of what the fit is actually gonna look like, because there's also seam allowance here at the bottom, so let me do that and I'll get back to you. Okay, well, things have improved and worsened. The neckline looks a lot better. I really like the way that that looks now. These shoulder straps feel very wide, but I don't know, I'm kind of into it. I don't mind it. Yeah, this part definitely I don't want it to lace shut, but there's just so much room here at the moment that that's kind of all it can do. So I'm gonna just start like pinching. God, this would be so much easier if I had a dress form, wouldn't it? Wow, there's like just so much room. This is why you make mock-ups, because everything goes wrong. And it's better for it to go wrong on this terrible, terrible bedsheet before it goes wrong on my half a meter of canvas. I think what I may do, I may go back to the pattern and just take off, maybe I should do some measuring. Give me one sec. Okay, I'm back. I have done some math, which I hate doing. I have essentially figured out, I think I need to take literally 6 inches off of the whole thing. Well, 6 inches off the half, rather. No, 6 inches off the whole thing. I had it right. I have to take 6 inches off the whole thing. God, my brain is so bad at math. Help. I have to take 6 inches off the half. I figured it out. So that means that I need to take 1.5 inches off of each seam. So I'm gonna go ahead and mark that on the pattern. I might not cut it just yet, but then I might transfer the mark over to here and just pin it in place. I'm not gonna try and sew it again. And we'll see if that fits me a little bit better, and if I get this lacing gap. I have done the math, so theoretically it should all work out, but I'm just gonna do all that off camera because it's boring and it involves measuring and math, and nobody wants to see that. That's just gross. Okay, so this is where we're at. I have now sewed new seams for the left side, and when you compare the left to the right, there is definitely a big difference. So I think I've just about got this side right. Yeah, overall, I think now it's in a bit of a better place. This was kind of a struggle to get to here. But what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna transfer all of this back to the pattern, trim down the pattern, and then the next time I can start on the canvas. Also, I went a little rogue and I cut the back. I did not do a great job of that. I think what I would want is maybe that it goes a little bit more kind of diagonal like this, instead of just straight down and across. I kind of just cut a rectangle out of the back. Not my finest moment, but I was getting frustrated. This thing was actually, I'm a little bit stressed out about this whole thing, but I think I've got it sorted now. I am wondering if I should alter the pattern, like make as many final adjustments as I can, and then do one last mock-up. I don't normally do 2 mock-ups for things. I usually do one, kind of figure out what's wrong with the pattern, fix it, and then, well, not what's wrong with the pattern, what I need to change about the pattern for me, fix it, and then go straight to my real fabric. But I think with this one, because I'm making so many weird alterations, I might do a second mock-up, which is kind of unheard of for me. But I feel like it's necessary, because I have never had to alter a pattern this much, really. I've been talking for 6 minutes, so I'm gonna see if I can fix the pattern, and I will see you for mock-up number 2, maybe on a different day, because it's getting late. Hello, it is day 2. So I don't know how I managed this, but this is mock-up number 2, and somehow it fits perfectly. Again, I don't know what I did. Like, I really wish that I could tell you what I did to the pattern to make it fit properly. I basically just kind of hacked at the pattern until I was like, yeah, that looks kind of how I want it to, and I guess the measurements probably make sense. I literally had no idea what I was doing, but it fits literally perfectly. So if I pull this as if I were lacing it, right now it meets. So the only thing that I want to do right now is add maybe like another inch to the front panel, just so I have enough to fold under the seam allowance and have kind of a backing for the eyelets. But otherwise, I don't know how this happened. I'm not gonna question it because I'm a bit scared that if I question it, it'll all go wrong, which, let's be honest, it still might. Even the back looks good, and I altered this back line because it was coming up really high. I mean, it looks fine. I think the back is a little bit short now that I'm looking at it, so I think I will also add maybe like 1 centimeter to the back panel. I did cut off a little bit because I thought that it looked too long, and now I'm having the opposite problem. So this panel, I think it's also sewn in a bit weird. You can see that there's a little thingy right there where the seam didn't quite match up, so that's why I think if I add a little bit to the back panel, that will kind of fix that. But otherwise, I'm just gonna make those quick alterations, and then I think I can just get into the canvas, which is surprising. Let me show you the canvas, by the way. This is what we're working with. It's a really nice color. I kind of like it. It's like this muted green. So I think it'll be really nice. It is literally just cotton canvas. I think I haven't done a burn test or anything, but I think that's what it is. I don't have very much of it, so that's why I wanted to be really, really sure with my mock-ups and my patterning that I was gonna get this right, because if I cut this out and it's wrong, then I'm kind of screwed because this is all I have. Yeah, let me just make those quick alterations and then we'll start cutting this out. So here it is. I'm pretty pleased with it. I think it still fits pretty well, and I think I fixed the problem, so now this is hitting pretty much exactly where I want it to. The front is now overlapping, which is good because I haven't yet figured out exactly how much I need to fold under. I know that I want this like facing bit to be about 1 inch, just so that I feel like I can center the eyelets nicely without them, you know, snagging on little bits of seam allowance or whatever, you know what I mean? I might honestly just like press the thing to about 1 inch, and then however much of a gap I have, because I don't want to do math. So let me press it real quick and I will get back to you. Okay, so I pressed it and I pinned it into place, and that actually looks about how I want it. I mean, yeah, I don't really want to fold it in too much because you're going to be able to see the stitching line where the facing is a strong word. It's not really facing, but yeah, so I still kind of have this problem at the back. I don't know if you can tell, but the seam didn't quite match up even when I fixed the back panel. I don't think it's a huge problem. I think I can pretty much cover it up when I do the arm's eyes, so I'm not really gonna bother to try and fix it. I don't really care. Right, so I'm gonna go ahead and sew down this facing. So yeah, basically all I did was I pressed in like 1 centimeter for the seam allowance and then folded it 1 inch. I'm really terrible with mixing my measurements. Everybody hates me. Americans, British people, everybody hates me. I hadn't actually thought about how I'm going to finish the seams. I had considered French seaming them. With the way these princess seams are especially, I didn't really trust them with the French seam because I was pretty sure that they would get really wobbly. I don't know why I feel like that, but it was hard enough lining up the seam once, let alone twice. So I think what I might do is I might just cover them with bias tape. The original pattern, the back piece, you cut 2 of them. What I did, and I kind of decided this on a whim, when I cut it out, I cut it on a fold. So now I just have 1 solid back piece, which is nice because it's 1 less seam. So I actually only have, I think, 6 seams to finish. So yeah, it might be bias tape. And also the neckline and the arm's eyes and the bottom are all also going to be bias tape. And that's pretty much it. So once I set on this facing, I don't think I'm going to get to the eyelets today. I might mark them and pierce them with the awl, and then I might leave them for tomorrow. So we'll see how far I get. But first, I'm just going to sew this down because that'll be quick and easy. Okay, so I marked out all the eyelets and I traced around a thumbtack so that I could kind of have a guideline for when I actually do the eyelets, because I'm going to do hand-sewn eyelets because I don't have grommets and I don't really have time to get them or figure out how to set them because I've never done that before. So I'll do hand-sewn eyelets, which I'm not actually sure will save me time because I've marked out 16 total, 8 on each side. I think it's gonna look great. It might take me a while, but I generally like doing hand-sewn eyelets. I think they're fun and they're kind of relaxing. You just put on a video and I have a good time with it. But it is getting late, so I'm gonna leave that for tomorrow. And tomorrow I'm also gonna pick up some bias binding and whatever I'm gonna use for the lacing. I haven't quite figured it out yet, so I will figure that out. But yeah, I'm gonna leave it there for tonight, so I will see you tomorrow. Hello, I am coming to you at 9:30 p.m. with wet hair in my pajamas because I've had an idea. So what happened today is that I went to the fabric store to see if I could get some bias tape and like a twill tape for the lacing, essentially. And I was looking for kind of a cream color, but I couldn't find anything. And I found this bias tape that was the right width, and I thought it was a cream color, but it turned out it was just kind of damaged. It looked like water damage or something. So I asked the guy about it, and he gave me like 6 meters for free, because he was like, it's damaged, nobody really wants to buy it, you can have it. And I was like, bias tape is expensive, but okay. And then I got the twill tape for like 60p for 2 meters. So that's insane. Actually, I've only spent £1.60 on this project so far, which is a bit insane. Anyway, the point is that it's a bit damaged, and it's kind of like brown in spots. I can't show it to you because I've got it soaking, because I've had an idea. So it's soaking in water right now. I was trying to get out the stains if I could, and I can't seem to get them out. And so what I thought instead, because they're it's still kind of a white color, both of them are more white than cream, and I really did want a cream color, so I thought I might try dyeing them with tea, which is something I've not done before, and I really should not be doing this at 9:30 p.m., but also I don't think I'm gonna have time tomorrow, because basically this needs to be done tomorrow, because tomorrow's Tuesday and then Wednesday we're going to this event, and so it needs to be done. I've never done this before, so I'm gonna try and figure it out. You can come along with me on this journey. I mean, I don't think that I would like ruin it or anything, because it's already stained, and so I figured this will at least cover up the stains at the very least. So let's see what we can do. Okay, so I've got my water heating up, and I've got this tea that I wanted to get rid of anyway. So I've got these tagless tea bags. I'm just going to toss a few in there. Like I said, I kind of want a cream color, so I'm not going to put too many, but that was 1. So let's put 3, 4, 5 maybe. We'll see. I'll test the color as we go, but I'm just going to let that come to a boil and then steep for a little bit. So as you can see, it is now boiling. I think I'm supposed to let this simmer for quite a few minutes, and then I can add the fabric. I'm really hoping this pot is big enough, but so far I think the color is going to be good, because I know that it's going to get lighter when it dries. So I'm okay with the color for now. I don't think I'm going to add more tea bags. We'll see how it goes when I actually add the fabric, but right now it's just the tea bags in there. I'm going to let them simmer for a little bit. Oh, and I'll link the tutorial I'm following down below if you also want to do this, because I don't know what I'm doing, but it's a great tutorial. So, yeah. Okay, so I'm about to add my fabric in, but I just wanted to show you that, so you can see, I think you can kind of see like how dirty it looks and how damaged. So at the very least, the tea should cover all this up. And if it doesn't cover it up, I'll have to figure something else out. But for now, I'm just going to go ahead and put this in. This is also the twill tape that I got. But I'm going to go ahead and chuck these in. And then I think I'm going to let this steep for like an hour, maybe? That's why it's a bit silly to start it now, but I figured if I do it now, and then I rinse it and I let it dry overnight, then hopefully it'll be ready to use tomorrow. If it doesn't get out the staining, and if it doesn't look decent after this. I mean, I don't think it'll make it worse. That's why I'm doing this. If it doesn't get out the staining and it doesn't like look better, then I might just be able to cut the bias tape. I'll just have to like use different lengths of it, so you'll be able to see some of the seams on the binding, but I don't think it'll matter too much. So I do have a plan B. I just thought I would see if this worked first. I'm gonna let this sit for a little bit, and I will show it to you when it's ready to come out. Okay, I'm liking the way that this is looking. It's only been half an hour, but like I said, I only really want a light beige color. So I'm gonna go ahead and turn this off, and I will give it a rinse until the water runs clear, which I think is what I'm supposed to do. And then we will see how it looks. Okay, so this is what we've got. I've got it hanging up to dry, and I'm gonna let it dry overnight. I think once it dries, it will probably be the right color. I think it will be a little bit darker than I wanted, maybe, because I was going for kind of cream, and I think this is gonna be a little bit of a darker beige, but I'm not mad at it. I think it's better than the bright white, which I think I really would not have liked, so I'm happy with this. The only thing is that you can see that it still looks really dirty. I thought that maybe the tea would mask it somewhat, but I don't think it will, because I think it's just mold. I mean, they did say it was water damage, and they did give it to me for free, so I can't complain. So I think we're gonna have to go with plan B anyway. I think I'm just gonna cut off the bits that I can use and piece it together, which is not the end of the world. I don't think it'll be super noticeable on the binding, because this is also very thin bias tape, and so I don't think the seams will be super noticeable. So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna let this dry overnight, and I will see you in the morning. Good morning. My bias tape and twill tape have been drying overnight, so let's take a look. So here they are. I actually really like the color. I think it's maybe a little bit darker than I wanted, but I think it still looks really good. Now, the problem is these stains, which you can see are still there. I don't think it's actually moldy because it just does not wash out. And I think if it was like mold that was like sitting on top of the fabric, it would wash out. So I think it's just stained because I've got so much of this anyway and it was free and I don't think I'm going to use it for anything else. So I might as well just cut out the bad parts and then use whatever I can use. I'll do that in a minute, but first of all, I was working on the eyelets just now. So you can see I've done one side. They don't actually take all that long, hand-sewn eyelets. I know people think they're a lot of work, but I really like them. Now, the only problem is that I haven't got like kind of a beige thread, so I've been using sort of an off-white. And so these are going to be a little bit brighter than the tape and stuff that I'm using. That's fine. I'm not super worried about it. They won't be terribly visible once the lacing's in anyway. So I'm going to go ahead and finish the other side of this, and then I will do the binding, and then all I have to do is lace it up and it's done. So yay! Very exciting. So this is just a regular piece of thread. I've doubled it up and tied it at the back. And then I've threaded it between the two layers of the facing in the front. And now I can just put it through the hole. And there we go. Yeah, so I'm basically just doing a whip stitch. Nothing fancy. I'm not even really doing a buttonhole stitch because I've done it before. I've tried a few different ways of doing eyelets and I don't think it's necessary to do a buttonhole stitch. Like, there's going to be enough thread around the inside that you don't really need the buttonhole stitch, I don't think. But maybe that's just me. So I'm just going to keep doing this, rinse and repeat across all of these eyelets. And I will get back to you. Alright, so that is 16 hand-sewn eyelets done. I think they look pretty nice. So now let us work on this bias binding, because I still need to figure out what I'm doing. Okay, so I've just spent several minutes dividing or snipping up this bias tape into the bits that I can use and the bits that I really feel like I cannot use because they look really dirty. Not gonna lie, that is a lot of it. It's probably half of it that was just damage that I just don't want to use. So here's what we've got left. There are some longer bits and some shorter bits. Shorter bits I think I can use probably to bind off the seams. So I might do that first, actually, just so I can use up some of the shorter bits and kind of get used to sewing bias tape on the machine, because I've never really done that before. So I think we'll start with that. We'll just finish off the seams and get those out of the way. So, as usual, I have run into a problem, which is most of my sewing. Okay, so I've tried to test this out on two different seams, and these are the inside seams, so it's okay that they're messy. The first time, I just folded the bias tape over both sides and stitched down. Obviously, you can see that that did not work. It's just pulling at these threads. I think the bias tape is maybe too narrow. So that one didn't work at all. You can see here that it kind of, this was the bottom, and I stitched really neatly on this side, but if this is just ever so slightly off because it's so thin, it just doesn't catch. So that was attempt number one. This is attempt number two, which also did not go well. So this time I tried opening one side of it and stitching kind of along there, and then flipping it over and tucking it under and trying to sew that down. That also did not work. So this was the first side that I did that to. You can see that the stitching line is just not where it should be. And then when I flipped it over, I could not get this one to pull into place enough to cover the stitches, which this would have to be the front of the, if I was doing this on the actual, the front of the garment, this would have to be the front of it. I'm not really sure what to do now because I think the problem is that the bias tape is just too narrow. And I did think of that when I got it. But again, he just gave it to me for free, and so I didn't really think too much of it or think to get a backup. And now that I've like tea stained this and I've tea stained the twill tape that I got, I just don't entirely know how to fix this. So I'm wondering if I should just try and make my own bias tape. And I've got some white cotton. I could dye it really quick, but I think I just don't know when I would have time. Like, I don't know if it would dry in time for me to be able to sew this tonight. I might have to like stay up late and do this. I don't know. I don't know what to do. I'm gonna think it over. Give me a few minutes. Okay, update. So I did the whole tea dyeing thing and I've got it drying and it's not drying, it's taking forever. I've got a staff meeting in an hour and they tend to go for a very long time, so I'm probably gonna get back home around 10 and then my morning shift starts at 5:30. So all that to say, I don't know if this is gonna get done before tomorrow. Like, I might get home early, I might be able to really just quickly put on the binding, but I kind of doubt it at this point. So I don't think this is gonna get done for tomorrow. I've got a backup outfit that I could wear, or I could wear the same outfit just without the vest. I don't know that it really matters. I mean, in the end, this was just supposed to be for fun, and I think I'm stressing myself out by trying to, like, get the binding done in time and trying to, like, you know, finish this really, really quickly and doing the tea dyeing and everything. The point is that this has kind of stopped being fun for me, and I always want my sewing projects to be fun because it's a hobby for me, and it's, you know, something that I try and do in my free time, and if it's not fun, then there's kind of no point. I like making videos and all of that, and normally it is very fun, but when it gets to the point that it stops being fun and it just starts being stressful, I think I need to kind of let it go. So that's where I'm at now. I don't think this is gonna get done. I will try and finish it later, but I think taking off the time pressure will probably make me feel a little bit better about it. If it gets done, great. Awesome news, that's a perk. If it doesn't get done, I'm just gonna breathe and let it go, which is hard for me to do sometimes, but sometimes sewing projects don't quite turn out the way you want them to, so it is what it is, and I might leave it there for today. If I don't, you will see footage of me trying to put on the binding in a little bit, but I kind of doubt it, so see you in a bit. Okay, hello, I'm just walking home from work now, and I wanted to update you because as soon as I get through the door, I'm just gonna slap the bias tape on and get dressed because I've got basically an hour before we need to go. So it feels very weird to be like vlogging on the street. I've never done this before. Anyway, point is, the footage you're about to see is probably really, really terrible. The footage you're watching now is probably really, really terrible because it's like bouncing around and everything. Just wanted to update you. As soon as I get through the door, that's what I'm gonna do. And then hopefully you'll see some cool reveal shots today. Well, that happened. My needle broke, and it broke somewhere inside the machine, and now the machine is stuck. So that's fun. Today has just been the worst day. I just want to say this for the record. It has just been absolutely the worst day. So, sorry, I just realized that I match my sewing machine. Okay, I'm gonna call it. This project is cursed. First of all, it has been cursed since the beginning, and now it is doubly cursed because my sewing machine is broken. So I don't know what I'm gonna do. Obviously this is not getting done today. I really thought that I could just put the bias tape on today and just be done with it. I might hand sew it on just so that I can, until I can figure out how to fix this, because it's just like, the needle has fallen inside the machine and I don't know how I can get it out, so I might have to dismantle the whole thing. I'm not entirely sure. I will figure it out. I will not figure it out today. This is just a mess. Today has been terrible, and it's only like 1 p.m. Hopefully the event will still be fun. I just really wanted to have this done. I know everything I said yesterday about, like, I don't want to be stressed about having it done in time, but I thought I could get it done today. And then, of course, my machine has to go and break on me. So, anyway, I guess I will see you whenever I get my machine fixed. I don't know. So here's the update. First of all, it's Wednesday. My video was supposed to go up last Saturday, so that's great. The second, it's like 1 billion degrees and I'm tired. And third, I just spent like an hour trying to fix my sewing machine, and I fixed part of it, but now the presser foot, something's going on. I don't know what's going on with it. My sewing machine hates me, which is fair because I spent like 25 pounds on it, so it wasn't gonna be good. All that to say, I think I'm just gonna finish hand sewing the vest, and I really don't care at this point, which is really sad because I was excited about this at the beginning, and now I kind of don't care. I kind of just want to finish it and like get the video out and work on something else, which is fine. Anyway, yeah, I'm just gonna put on the bias tape by hand, so woohoo. Okay, so the vest is finished. It has taken literally hours, and it is actually a different day because I couldn't even finish it on Wednesday. So this video is now like 8 days late at this point. So sorry about that. Anyway, you're not gonna get a nice reveal for this because I'm tired and it's late and this is taken far too long. But anyway, here we go. Ta-da! Yay, it's done. So here it is. It is complete. Hooray. Honestly, I kind of hate it. I don't hate it as much as I thought I would, so that's a plus. But yeah, it's not my favorite thing I've ever made. It's just, it feels kind of shapeless, and I don't understand how I managed to do that. It's something to do with the way that I like altered the seams, because it's still like a little loose in the waist. If I was gonna do this again or alter the pattern more, I think even if I just took in a little bit right here, maybe that would fit a little bit more, I don't know, form-fitting. There's not much of a lacing gap either. I was expecting 2 inches. I did the math for 2 inches, but you guys know I'm not good at math here, so I tried. This project was cursed! Everything went wrong! Literally everything from the very beginning went wrong. I'm sure I could like go back through the footage and pinpoint every single thing that went wrong, but sometimes a project is just cursed. I don't think I'm ever gonna wear this, and it's a little bit sad because I spent literally 3 weeks on this, and I mean, on and off. It's not like I was sewing all 3 weeks because my sewing machine broke and I didn't have time to hand sew things, and it's just been a mess. Again, cursed. But yeah, I don't know if I'm ever gonna wear this again. I might for like costumey things. It's not bad. Now, the more that I'm looking at it, it's like, it's fine. I think if I pull in some of the seams just a little bit, that might help make it more flattering on me, but right now it just looks very, I don't know. It's just not my favorite. I think the fabric choice also didn't help because this canvas is very like matte. Maybe it wasn't the best choice for this. It was cheap. I think I spent altogether like £2 on this project. As far as money, I don't feel like I wasted a lot of money. As far as time, I wasted a lot of time on this. Which, again, is a bit sad. But yeah, you know, it is what it is. I feel like we need to normalize making sewing projects that don't turn out well, because they don't all turn out well. We make mistakes and we don't end up liking whatever we create, and sometimes that happens. It's okay. Altogether, I think it could have been worse. I mean, it was pretty bad, but it could have been worse. The bias binding took entirely too long by hand. I don't think it would have been all that much faster by machine. I don't know why my machine broke. Probably because it's 25 pounds and a piece of crap. Yeah, this is what we got. This is the vest that I spent 3 weeks working on, and I'm really sorry this video is so late, but so this is it. That's all I got for you today. Thank you for coming along with this vest making adventure. I hope it was fun for you, because it was not fun for me, but I will see you next time anyway. Bye. Well, I guess I still need a thumbnail for this, so, oh, the lighting, no, oh no.